Anyways, let's get into some more StarCraft. And I'm sure I will talk more about PlayStation 2 games throughout this cast. Because, I mean, that's what casting is all about. It's talking about random things. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have Starlight Twinkle's Wayne. Very strong Zerg player, one of the strongest non-Korean Zerg players we have. He's had some very good showings. His opponent, the lower right-hand corner, is, at this point, he's got to be like a top 3 North American. He has looked very, very good as of late. He's taken some big games off of big players. And he's one of my favorite players that I've gotten to cast a lot of in the last year and a half or so. He is, of course, Trigger for Basilisk Gaming. He had a really insanely sick series against Gumiho last week. Yeah, that must have been EPTNA last week. The first game, the game 1, was so far my favorite game of the year, without a doubt. Such a cool game on Radisset Station, one of our new maps that we really don't see very often. These guys played such a good game. That one's on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to check that out, game 1 between Trigger and Gumiho. The rest of the series was very good, but game 1 was like something else. So good. Oh my god, insane. Anyways, Trigger's been awesome. Wayne's been around a long time. So Wayne used to be Ratatan. Before that, he was Vanya. He would always play in Cock of the Walk every week when I ran that. Gotta love it. I think he was the second most winningest Cock of the Walk participant, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, actually, that probably would have been Gerald. I guess Vanya would have been maybe the most winningest Zerg. I don't know. He won a lot. He played a lot. So, got to cast a lot of Wayne back in the day. Still get to see him quite often in these EPT Cups, which is nice. But yeah, I'm very excited for the PS2 games. I don't know, man. There's something about, like... I love playing the N64 games. There's a lot of nostalgia there. But there's a big difference, I feel like, between that and the PlayStation 2 games. Nintendo has always felt kind of separate from the rest of the console wars to me. And PS2, well, N64 I think is my favorite console. I think PS2 is like the best console. At least in my opinion. I feel like that's more of like an objective thing. Like, it has the most games for it. I feel like it really changed what being a console was. Anyways, I'm excited to play some of those games. This is a nice little move here from Wayne. Gets on top of not only one probe, but a second probe, and killed one of the Adepts. So a big delay on this third base. Forces that first Oracle to come home. I don't know if it turned on its Pulsar Beam at all. Doesn't have any kills, so... But it's pretty low on energy. Oh yeah, it must have. It's got no energy. So it turned on its beam, but didn't get any damage done. So now, a big delay on any drone damage from that first Oracle. And as these two come in, they're going to run into 2 queens and then a 3rd queen. But no Spore Crawler here means still nice 4 kills on the double Oracle. So... Trigger still getting some counter damage done. Third Oracle coming across to join up. 10 drones on the way for Wayne, though. He is just going to spam that drone button. No other tech right now. No lair on the way. No Roach Warren. No extra gases. So not really sure where Wayne is going to be going with this. But so far it's just going to be Link Queen macro. And trying to defend these Oracles. So far doing a pretty good job defending the Oracles. I think only 5 drones have died, which against 3 Oracles, that's pretty nice. Trigger has very good Oracle control as well. Trigger's getting into Blink and +1. It's pretty standard over the last honestly, like couple of years, really since they reverted those some of those Void Ray changes. Hero gave us the Blink +1 builds, and all the Protosses have been happy to mix that in with their PVZ action. Couple more drones going down. Trigger really trying to keep as much pressure onto Wayne as possible. Keep him building drones and just try to stunt that economy of the Zerg a little bit. You really have to, I think, as the Protoss, do something to hurt the Zerg economy. Or your follow-up is just going to feel weaker and weaker, especially with something like Blink Stalkers, which can feel very strong. But if your opponent just has enough stuff out to deal with them, they're not great. And so the real, I think, thought here is the theory crafting behind the oracles, which one of them is going down here, is that you kill the drones, you force more drones to be made, and those drones are being made instead of units. So you're kind of delaying the units coming out, maybe delaying some of the tech because the Zerg is just focused on building drones before doing any of that. And now Roach Speed isn't done yet. Wayne just got a lot of these units out. There's even still some Roaches on the way. So the Stalkers have a little bit more leeway on the field. And Wayne might not have as many drones out as he'd like to. Because not only did they die, but then he was forced to build units immediately afterwards. So that kind of pressure, it's pretty normal these days, but it's good to keep in mind how important it is. And it allows these Stalkers to be a little bit more aggressive now than they might be able to be if those units didn't die. But Wayne is going to start pushing in with these Roaches, and the Lings tries to get a bit of a wraparound there. He's able to pick off a couple of Stalkers because of it, and at least keep some of the hit points down on a few of these other ones. That's going to allow Roach Speed to finish, as well as +1 missile attacks to finish here. And Hydras are coming out. And especially once they get their upgrades, which are, I believe, a little cheaper, the Hydras can be very, very good against the Blink Stalkers. They don't have a lot of hit points, so they die fairly quickly, but if they're behind some Roaches, behind some Lings, they can do a lot of DPS. Their range upgrade will allow them to fire over the backs of those units much more easily. Stalkers have a lot tougher time kind of sticking around and fighting against them, just because the Stalkers are also pretty weak, so they can't stick around with a lot of damage being dealt. But Trigger is already getting into Colossi. This first one is out. Thermal Lance is on the way, and that's going to be very powerful against the Hydras as well as against the Lings. And honestly, if you can get like 3 or 4 Colossi out, even the Roaches start taking a lot of damage to them. But there's an attack coming. Wayne is not chilling at all. The first Stasis Trap gets triggered by only 3 Lings. There are cannons here, but the shield battery isn't quite done yet. Colossus doesn't have Thermal Lance yet. This is all hitting right before Trigger's really ready for it. Super Shield Battery turns on, but it gets taken down very quickly. And this 4th base looks like it might be left out in the cold here as Trigger is trying to back up this ramp, trying not to engage with the full army of Wayne. And that is going to allow this 4th base to get killed. And now Wayne can focus his fire right on the army, jumping after this Colossus. He gets it. The Stalker's linking backwards, leaving the Sentries right out front. Another Colossus does pop. Thermal Lance is about to finish. There it goes with the Colossi. It's way out front. It gets taken down. It's just Blink Stalkers and cannons. A couple of charge lots trying to get warped in here. But is it enough to deal with all of this Roach Hydra? It looks like Wayne might just have an overwhelming force. The 3rd Colossus is so far away from being out. The Stalkers are running out of room to blink back into. And Wayne has taken a 60 army supply lead as more Stalkers. They're just blinking into the main, but that's not helpful. They're not doing any damage here. And, yeah, the Bile's going down. It looks like Wayne is going to be able to push through. Trigger somewhat holding in his natural, but that's just going to leave the 3rd completely exposed. And GG gets called as Wayne overwhelms. A very Zergy way to win there. Getting straight from the Ling Roach +1 right into those Hydras. And as soon as the first Hydra upgrade was done, not even waiting for their range upgrade, just shoving across the map. I was saying, oh, maybe Wayne wants more drones out by this point. Wayne did not want more drones out. He got like 5 more and immediately slammed, just full on pushing with as many units as possible. Trigger was maybe 45 seconds, 60 seconds away from having plenty to hold that. One more Colossus is out. Thermal Lance is done. The rest of the cannons and shield batteries at that fourth base are finished up. And like one more warping round. And I think Trigger holds just fine. But Wayne hit at just that perfect time, right before Trigger is ready, right as all of those things are on their way. The money has been spent on them, but they haven't kicked in yet. Can be a very tough timing to hit, but he hit it perfectly. And now in game number 2, we're on Radisset Station. One of my favorite maps in this pool right now, just because it's been kind of seldomly seen, but has given us some really fun games. In the upper right-hand corner for Starlight Twinkle, it is Wayne. And his opponent in the lower left for Basilisk Gaming, Trigger. I have not seen a PVZ on this map, I want to say. I think I've seen a couple of TVPs. And was it a TVZ, maybe? Yeah, I think it was a TVZ. I don't know, kind of interested in seeing how this works in a PVZ. I will say Mutas looked quite good on this map. I can't quite remember who I was casting. That was going Mutas. I guess it was Oriana versus somebody. Who was it? It was during the ESL winter qualifiers, closed qualifiers the other day, that I just kind of hopped in to cast the Asia closed qualifier. Oriana was playing against the Zerg. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's like right there in my brain. And I can't remember who it was. He played against Demi, and then after that he played against another Zerg. Anyways, it's a good match. The Mutas looked very good on this map, so we'll see if Wayne feels similarly. I think there's something about, the big wall being here, allowing the Mutas to get in. Obviously, they can hit on the back of this. And unless you have a bunch of static defense, they can be very good at just kind of popping in and popping out and moving around. I don't know. Could see them being very strong on this map. It looks like Wayne's going to take the safer third base. And this is a little bit surprising to me. I feel like usually I would expect the Zerg to take the base out here and start spreading that creep forward and out. But taking this base, it makes me wonder if Wayne wants to try to kill these rocks and mine through here. And as intimidating as these rocks look, they actually break very easily. So it is a possibility that Wayne might want to just mine through some of this, kill these rocks, and then expand this direction. It'd be kind of interesting. I haven't seen anybody do that yet. But looking at it, with these busted, this base doesn't feel that far away. The gold base feels very attainable, especially if you spread your creep out just a little bit. Could be an interesting pattern to expand in. I feel like you could get a pretty solid 5 base setup here. And then this base wouldn't feel too hard to take at that point either. I don't know. We'll have to see. I feel like there could be some creative play on this map. And some players are very, very good at creative play. I'm hoping we get to see some of that on these new maps. Just some of those players that really know how to push the boundaries of what feels possible in a game, utilizing everything that they have at their fingertips. Trigger's like, you were so worried about like 5 bases, but this is a glaze build. Let's worry about that later. Let's go attack right now. So we're gonna see some glaived adepts coming in. I actually feel like the way Wayne expanded could be very good against this. We have creep very nearly connecting these bases already, so the queens can move back and forth pretty easily. There's a Roach Warren about to finish here for Wayne. Don't think he necessarily knows what he's up against. It looks like he saw the Twilight Council. Yeah, you know what? He saw the Twilight Council. I feel like that kind of tells him. He's got roaches on the way already. There's no forge here. This was not a Stargate opener. So Wayne is going to start building some roaches. I think he's going to be very well set up to defend these Glaive Adepts as they come across. Interesting, the lack of Overlords out here. Did he just run it in and get it killed? I guess so. He's going to spot this now, though. Sees these Adepts coming across, and with that Twilight Council, he knows exactly what it is. Drops a Spine Crawler down at the third base. That's kind of cute. Trying to help defend it. Trigger so far non-committal. And actually, I wonder if it might be smarter not to commit too hard to this. And instead to just, yeah, Wayne just built a bunch of units. I love this. Just sending a couple in at each of these bases. Already getting 6 kills. Some great focus fire here out of Trigger. 10 drones going down, 11 drones. That is 4 Adepts and researching Glaives. I think that is so insanely worth it. And now going to split off the rest of them. Trying to send them into the main base. There are a lot of roaches here, though, so these two don't really get anything done. It looks like 3 more go down in the natural. Those ones not quite as worth it, but I think overall, the trade's technically better for Wayne, but I think killing 14 drones at this point in the game is well worth the 8 Adepts and Glaives. The Roaches not going to be able to move across the map until speed is done, unless there happened to be some way they could just go right across the map that wasn't scouted by any of those Adept shades. And oh my goodness. We've got a Nidus Worm. More Roaches on the way. Wayne is walking these ones across the map, and I guess he's just going to reinforce, maybe even bring the Queens with this Nidus Worm. Yeah, a couple of Queens in there already. The Hallucinated Phoenix is going to see this move out. Trigger knows he needs to be defensive, and he was trying to get into the Robo Bay. It looks like he was going for a Disruptor drop, but he just needs to get those Disruptors out. He needs to get as many units out as he possibly can right now. He's getting ready to defend the front, but the Nidus is actually back here, and I don't think Trigger has spotted it yet. Oh my God, Trigger, he's not noticing. He's focused at the front. He's so focused, and the Nidus is gonna pop. Queens are coming out. There's no static defense down at this base, and Trigger is now moving over, but he's fighting into this. Ooh, great Disruptor Nova to start things off, but on the other side, no force field on the ramp means the Roaches get in, and even though the Nidus is getting held at the third base, a new one's going down, and now the main is in so much trouble. Can the Disruptor Nova connect? Oh, Wayne is paying attention and only gets a couple of Roaches, and both of these Disruptors are going to go down. Oh, force field. No, it goes down. The Nidus does die again. Trigger is holding down here, and that's all well and good, but he's definitely not holding up here right now. He is killing some of these Roaches. Can the Nidus get up in the main base? It looks like Trigger is going to focus fire it and take it down. The Stalkers have blinked now. They are going to kill the rest of these Roaches, and it looked incredibly dicey for Trigger, but he ends up holding, keeps a lot of his units alive. He did lose those Disruptors, but that was a lot of army supply for Wayne. And you know what he didn't kill? Probes. Only 4 probes going down in this game. That is crazy. Absolutely insane that Trigger is able to hold that. And you know, a big part of it that I didn't really consider is that +1 finished at some point in there, and that's got to help a lot. Stalker's already pretty decent against Roaches. That looked like a death blow. It really looked like Trigger was going to get up here and be able to just kill all of the probes. Somehow, they do not die, though. And Trigger just immediately takes a 4th base. He's expecting Wayne to just full-on macro from here, expand, drone up as much as possible, but that is not Wayne's game plan. The Nidus goes down, and that is 12 Swarm Hosts on the way. Nidus is hitting both sides here. There's not really an easy way. You can't blink over this. Trigger could kill this, but that would make his base feel pretty vulnerable. I actually wouldn't hate to see him kill the rock so he could blink over the mineral field. Nidus Swarm on the left-hand side is just going to get taken down, but the Swarm Hosts are already popping out over here. Wayne is going to send some Locusts in. This is kind of a last-ditch effort, though. Trigger is in a very, very good spot right now. If these Locusts can do something crazy, though, like kill the Nexus, which they absolutely can, there's nothing here to stop them. That is a dead Nexus. This could all of a sudden put Wayne in a much better spot. Now, he's taking a 4th base behind this. Trigger's going to get heavily supply blocked, losing all of these pylons, only 1 living, even losing a Stalker there. And now he knows what he's up against. Ooh, there's the Nidus in the main base. Trigger sending some units up here. And it looks like he will be able to kill it. But it's like a distraction. So Swarm Hosts are still down here. And you know what? They're about ready to pop another set of Locusts. Trigger. Ooh, he's waiting. And now Wayne's going to hit with his army. He's only at 62 drones. He is barely droned up. The Locust going to, again, focus down the Nexus. Disruptor Novas, though, going to kill them. Super Shield Battery keeps the Nexus alive. But, oh my god, the fourth base is just not going to happen over here for Trigger. He's going to immediately put it back down, feeling like he can hold if his army is in position. But it looks like Trigger's going to try to, or Wayne rather, is going to try to pop the Locusts and join them with the army. This is all a distraction. There's nothing in the Nidus Swarm at this point. I mean, I guess he could move stuff from over here, but it's just a distraction. Nidus is going to, or the Locusts are going to pop. The Nidus gets killed in the main base. And now those Stalkers desperately need to be here. That's a nice Disruptor Nova to start things off. The Locusts, though, are going to land on top of this army, focus firing some of these units, adding so much DPS as the Lings get in on the left-hand side. I don't think there's any Disruptor Novas left. So now it's up to the Stalkers and the Zealots to hold on here. The base gets killed. I don't even think that was a cancel. Shield Battery is pretty much out of juice. The Stalkers, though, going to blink on top of this, trying to focus fire down some of these key units, the Roaches and Ravagers. Wayne does not have a lot of economy behind this. He can't afford to just keep replacing these units. So he's going to have to try to run away, getting the Swarm Host into the Nidus. But here's the thing. They have more Locusts ready to pop. This is beautiful, though, from Trigger. Forces them to pop the Locust on the Stalkers, leaving only a few to head towards this natural base. And Trigger should just be able to get these units out of here. That is a missed opportunity for those Swarm Hosts. Really well done by Trigger to force that. And he's got Archons behind this. Remember, Wayne he's not been droning. He's now going to start droning. He has gotten to a hive, so he's got Vipers on the way. But he's not at a great economy. He needs to get some more damage done. He can't just let this be a 4-base Protoss. He is going to go kill the one Zealot that took care of that Nidus Swarm. Oh, no! Oh, but the Swarm Host! They popped out. They didn't have their Locusts ready. And all of them die? How many Swarm Hosts are left? There might be 1 or 2 left out on the field. Just 2 of them. And now the Roaches are on their own. They're trapped between a Charge Lot and an Archon. And the Blink Stalkers jumping on top of them as Trigger drives the Roaches back. The Hydras are out, but they do not have their speed upgrade yet, so they're so slow. And Wayne has to pull all the way back. He's still up in army supply, but a lot of that is in production Roaches. Trigger, his army is here. It's on the field. It's ready to fight. He's got +2 to the +1 of Wayne, and he's feeling good. He's going to keep pushing on to creep. Now, he's got to be a bit careful. There are Vipers here. The Lurker Den is done, so a couple of Lurkers could be morphed. Even without their upgrades, they are still pretty scary. A lot of high DPS splash damage. Another Disruptor pops, though. And I think if a few more Disruptors come across the map, Trigger's army is going to be very, very good. He's recognized, I think, that there's Lurkers here with the Vipers. Trigger doesn't want to get too trigger happy, excuse the pun, and go kind of all in on this attack. Behind it, he's going for a Fleet Beacon, backup Stargates. He's going to try to transition into Sky Toss. This pylon really sucks. He's going to have to kill that pylon to build a base. I don't think he's realized yet that he just built a pylon where he needs his Nexus. So definitely going to need to kill that soon. But Wayne's coming across the map right now with a push. Rainy Bagels, thank you so much for the resubscription. Wow, 47 months. Oh my God, it's your 47th anniversary. Wow, 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 Bagels. Hot damn. Bagels, I did a podcast recently with a friend of mine, and I shouted you out for being a person in real life who supports my channel, because I really appreciate that. Whew. Disruptor Nova's trying to hold on here against the Lurkers, sending the Roaches back. The Roaches have to be so careful against these Novas. Wayne, though, he's going to pick everything up. He says, that's all 3 Novas. I'm going in now. The Super Shield Battery going to help out a bit. Storm is not done yet, though. That Nova actually hit more Zealots than it did Roaches. Oh, and this poor Immortal is trying its best to stay alive, but down it goes. Disruptor Nova goes in, though. That is a beautiful connection. I think there should be one more available momentarily here. Out it goes. It's going to pick off 2 more lurkers. It's only 4 lurkers left. There is a carrier on the way, and you know what there's not here for Wayne is literally anything that shoots up. So as more Zealots get warped in, as the Stalkers blink backwards, it looks like Trigger is going to clear this. But there is a Nidus in the main base with just a handful of units, but more Hydras popping out. I talked about things that don't shoot up, and Wayne's like, no, I got them. They're over here. Don't worry about it. And that means the Void Ray carrier cannot just deal with this on their own. This base is in a lot of trouble. Trigger is coming over to deal with it now, though. Now that he's dealt with the Lurker Roach threat at the front, but he's going to lose his base once again. And with no 5th base, that is unfortunate for Trigger. The Disruptor gets killed before that Nova connects. None of these High Templar have enough energy for Storm, so they're going to morph into Archons, but that is not fighting units right now. More Locusts are popping here just to help out in this fight as much as they possibly can. Trigger is running low right now. The army supply in favor of Wayne. Both players on a pretty crappy economy, but Wayne has a 5th base behind this. He could drone that up if he feels like this is not going to finish the game off. He's gotten a lot of damage done. Actually, at this point, I would kind of love to see Wayne drone this up, go to like 80 workers, and just get to a point where Trigger can't really do much about it. Trigger does have a couple of carriers out, but one of them getting very low, gets targeted down by the Hydras, who are moving forward. They're going to get the second one as well. Trigger not watching. Oh, it gets pulled back just far enough to stay alive. But that is a dead carrier already in this game. This Lurker doing its best here. It will kill the cannon, but the cannon killed the pylon, so Trigger can finally take this base. And he's getting very close. He's got Storm now on these High Templar, which means these Hydras, I don't think are going to be long for this world. Great Storms there. Wayne just immediately evacuates, losing a few Hydras on the way, but getting most of them out of there. Woo! Viper goes down, though. Wayne being a little careless with that Viper. Bringing it over a little bit late. He is not going to chill on this, though. Still sitting at 66 workers. His economy is still not great. But neither is Trigger's. Lings and Hydras popping out of this Nidus right now. The Viper is here. It's just the one Viper for the time being. Lurkers being morphed. Trigger trying to get a decent army up. He is still down a bit of army supply, but his army is pretty solid. It has +3 attack, and the one carrier has +1 attack, which is all Wayne has. He just has +1 missile attacks. Actually, these are completely unupgraded Zerglings. They don't even have adrenal glands, which I think is a huge misstep here from Wayne, not getting that crucial upgrade. But on his bad economy, it's been army or units, and oh my god, the Storm! Oh no, the carrier goes down, but that is not what matters. That Storm just killed so much of Wayne's army. Another beautiful Storm. Look how low these Hydras are. They cannot fight that way. And the Lurker's the only thing keeping these Hydras alive right now. Just the zoning from them. Trigger, though, spots them pulling up. He wants to go for it, but he knows his army is not that great. More units showing up, more Lurkers being morphed here. Some feedbacks going down. The Vipers are now giant paperweights floating in the sky. Disruptor Nova kills a couple of Hydras. Trigger is holding on. Wayne not going to be able to push into this right now. He's building some more Roaches to have some more sturdy units in his army, because those Storms have been brutal on the light units. Zealots were looking for a counterattack, but they are going to get caught here and instead just die for nothing. Super Shield Battery turns on, and that's going to allow Trigger to engage into some of these Lurkers. Oh, those Archons doing their best to bully their way forward, but they're taking way too much damage. And the High Templar can't land Storms. If they're dead, one of them goes down. The other two are still here. Can they land another Storm? No, they cannot. And without that splash damage, it looks like Wayne has finally broken Trigger, and he will take the 2-0 victory. Wayne, with the power of the all-in that follows up the all-in, who needs to chill when you can just attack more? What if instead of macroing more, I attacked more? How about that? And in this case, it worked out beautifully for Wayne. I think Trigger got caught expecting Wayne to behave more like a lot of the other Zergs out there. Happy to just take another base, build those drones, and try to get to the next phase of the game. Wayne absolutely not going for it. He did kind of slowly tech behind it, eventually getting into the hive and those important upgrades, but skipping a lot of steps to get there. He was still just on, I think, +2 missile attacks, just finished at the end of that game. Crazy, crazy game from those guys, but Wayne takes the 2-0. Hot damn.